Reading checkpoint veteran code talkers. Fill in each correct answer. What is this issue mostly about? The different branches of the armed forces, the Navajo code talkers, the names of army planes. So if you need to go back and look and see what it's mostly about, you can reread this. I do see some headings here that are good clues. The Marines problem, a Navajo code, the code worked, celebrating the code talkers. It does say here, Navajo troubles. And the Navajos are Native Americans. So look back here at your answer. What is this issue mostly about? The different branches of the armed forces, the Navajo code talkers, the names of army planes. When you make your decision, click on the circle and choose the paint bucket and choose what color you would like to color the circle beside of the correct answer. All right, number 2. Which of these is true about the code? It was easy for enemies to figure out. It was hard for enemies to figure out. It used words from the French language. So let's look back. Let's read here a Navajo code. Then the Marines got an idea. Why not use the Navajo language? It could make a tricky code. Most people didn't know the language. It was very hard to learn. Our enemies would not understand it. Hundreds of young Navajo men joined the Marines to become code talkers. Their code took English words and letters and matched them with Navajo words. For example, the code word for a destroyer ship was Kolo, which means shark in Navajo. The code was ready, but would it work in battle? The code worked. It did. In one big battle, Navajo code talkers sent and received 800 coded messages in 2 days. They did not make one mistake. The code talkers helped win that battle. After World War II was over, the Marines told the code talkers to keep their work a secret. The code talkers went home quietly. Nobody thanked them. So this says what's true. It was easy for the enemies to figure out, it was hard for the enemies to figure out, or it used words from the French language. So, according to what I just read, choose the correct answer. Whichever answer it is, click on the circle, then choose your paint bucket to color in the circle. Question number 3 says, what was one reason the Navajo code talkers code talkers code was hard to figure out? It was written in invisible ink. Most people did not know the Navajo language. It used numbers instead of letters. And so that is in one of the paragraphs that I just read. Here it says, most people didn't know the language. It was very hard to learn. Our enemies would not understand it. So on number 3, what was one reason the Navajo code talkers code was hard to figure out? And again, your choices are it was written in invisible ink. So if you think it's that, click on the circle and color it. Most people did not know the Navajo language. If you think that's correct, click on the circle. Use the paint bucket to color it. It used numbers instead of letters. If you think that's correct, click on the circle. Go up here to the paint bucket and choose a color. Question number 4. Why do you think the author wrote this article? To teach you how to use the Navajo code talkers code? To teach you about the history of the Navajo code talkers? To compare and contrast 2 different kinds of code? All right, so choose your answer on that. And then the last question says, the author says the Marines were lucky these young Navajos remembered their language. What do you think she means by this? A, the United States wanted young Navajo children to stop speaking their language, but that language ended up helping the Marines. B, the young Navajo taught the Navajo language to the Marines in school. Or C, the young Navajo learned many